Oh, goodness. Fuck. Well, shit, man.
We're back.
We're back, yeah. It's been a month.
We're back.
Like an actual solid, for sure, been a month, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been a month since the last one.
Yeah, it's been
40
busy,
days.
Yeah.
Or 31.
Definitely been fucking busy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, you guys were talking a little, well, Eric, at least, you were talking a little bit yesterday about, just how crazy your shit's been. Did you want to elaborate on that?
It's just been a roller coaster of a week, you know? We got to a little fender bender on, when was that?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday. Nothing came out of it until...
Try to be good Samaritans.
Yeah, nothing came out of it until Tuesday when we were informed that we were going to get raped by our neighbor and the insurance company over the cost of this tiny scratch on a vehicle.
Damn.
I got that fucking forestry basic skills exam again tomorrow. Got some work obligations, club meetings, the works. It's just been hectic. Exams.
I feel you, dude. Wait, so how is this guy suing you, though? Is he filing an insurance claim? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because originally, if you see the scratch, you're like, oh shit, like that's nothing. Like you could just buff that out. And he's just taking it, like he can't just have a little scratch on his car. It has to be perfectly pristine as it was.
What
So
type
now
of car is it?
It's a 2011 Mazda hatchback of some sort.
Get over yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucked.
If you
And
want
so-
nice, buy a luxury
It just, like,
car.
makes me mad because, like, first of all, it's a shared parking lot with, like, 8 other cars in it. And, like, Nick, you've seen our driveway. Like, it's not a big driveway whatsoever.
No, it's a 2-car wide driveway. That's it.
Damn.
Barely.
Yeah. And he was parked at literally, at a slant. Like, with his ass sticking out in the middle of, like, where everyone is able to, like, get in and out of the
Yeah.
driveway.
What the?
And,
Yeah.
like, I'm just, like, really pissed because, like, I literally had no damage on my car where, like, I could have literally have not said anything. Like, I could have been like, oh, shit, scratched your car. Sorry, but I'm not going to say anything about it because you would never know it was me.
Yeah.
And then, like, I tried to, like, be nice and, like, let him know. And he, like, every time I talked to him, like, he, like, admits that he was in the wrong. But I don't understand, like, if you understand that you were parked wrong, why can't you just let it go?
Right. And you said you're trying to bring that to the insurance company, right? Like, bring that to their attention?
Yeah, but I already talked to my insurance lady, and she said that if he wasn't in the car, then it's pretty much my fault.
Oh, man. That's fucking bullshit, dude.
Yeah. And then she was, like, asking me, she's like, how bad is the damage? I'm like, literally, like, I could send you the pictures. It's not, like, it's literally,
Anything?
like, I literally just, like, sideswiped his car a little bit, like, on the bumper. And she's like, yeah, his insurance company isn't going to get back to me in a while because if it's not a major accident, it's not important to them.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, something similar happened to me, actually, back in, what was that, like, probably senior year of high school. I used to, like, drive JSIC to school in the morning and stuff. We would, like, do our... I don't know.
Yeah.
And, there was one time where I was, oh God, I'm trying to remember. I think that I was used to driving like through the Jewel parking lot to get like away from that 62 light,
Yeah.
And so what I would do is I would like turn left at the left turn lane, kind of by like the corner where like the little Rosati's and the subway were on that strip.
Mhm.
And then I would turn right in the first lane and then just turn left and go through that like long cutaway that kind of goes by like the McDonald's and the Wendy's and shit. And so I was kind of used to doing that. And I did it like later in the evening after school one day. I don't remember where I was going, but I came down to the end of the lane, and I like it was like I think it was like January or February, so there was like a big pile of snow to my left, kind of like on like the bank by where like the end of the like parking lane was, and I was looking to my right because 62 in Randall, that intersection was to my right, so I was waiting for cars to like pass from that side, and so I saw like two cars pass. And then I looked to my left and I didn't see anything right away. So I just, barely started to pull out a little bit. And then some, woman in like a white sedan style car, just happened to be rolling past the snowbank then. And like same deal. I just kind of barely like tapped her on her like the wheel well, like just some of the plastic. There wasn't even like any of like her paint on my car or anything. I barely hit her at like 5 miles an hour probably because I was just accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I
she,
was like
like-
exactly us too.
Yeah, and she called an ambulance and said that she
What?
had small tissue damage and that she had hurt her back and stuff. And so she got carried away on a fucking stretcher, even though when the firemen and police got there, they agreed with me that nothing really happened from like what the damage looked like.
Yeah.
And then and then my she sued basically, or filed an insurance claim or whatever you want to call it. And then my mom and dad's like insurance payments went like way up for a while because we had an accident under one of our cars or whatever. Ugh.
Yeah.
People sometimes are the worst, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if it was me and I knew that, like, my shit... And, like, when we knocked on the door, his roommate answered, and we were like, hey, and he was like, oh, neighbors. And he was like, is it the Mazda? And, like, he knew that, like, if we were knocking, it had to be because somebody couldn't get out because of that car. And it's just like, if it was me and I knew I was parked like an asshole, and it was like a minuscule scratch that you can't, like, see unless you get up close, I would have just taken the L and been like, all right, well, like, I shouldn't park like an asshole. And he hasn't parked like that since either, so.
Yeah, he knows that it's unwarranted. He's just being a fucking
Yeah.
cock.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, these people, the only thing that they care about in life is money. Like, otherwise, if she actually was happy in her life, the way that you hit,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have gotten an ambulance. She would have been like, oh, I need to do all this because I care about my life. But no, she's like, oh, I should take an ambulance because I care about money, Like, honestly, people know, like, if you take an ambulance, you're so much more likely to get more money, like, than if you don't take an ambulance.
Well, and the thing that was
Plus, I
fucked up.
think on your record, like on your driving record, like, I accidentally bought the wrong copy of my driving record, and, like, there's a category of accident that's, like, accident with personal injury,
Yeah.
and it's, like, that's, like, significantly worse than just, like, bumping into somebody.
Yeah, dude. Well, the fucking thing that sucked the most about it was that when I like hit her car, right away I stopped and I got out and I was like, oh my, like she got out of her car as well. And what happened was I knew she was fucking fine, not only because I didn't hit her very hard, but also because she got out of her car and like walked all the way around the back of her car to come and like say like, oh my God, are you okay, to me as well. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like I'm fine. Are you okay? And she said, like after she like saw me and like was up and like thought about it for a sec, I think she was just like, oh, I think I need to call an ambulance. And I was like, what? Like, why? And she's like, no, I think I need to call an ambulance. I'm gonna call 911. And I was like, what? Like, what the hell just happened? Like, yeah. And
One time when I was leaving Harper, there's like so there's like two entrances to get onto Harper. There's one like off Algonquin Road and then one off Roselle Road. And I was trying to I was on a Roselle Road and turning right to get back onto Algonquin Road. I'm not sure if you know where the Harper campus is at fairly well. But,
yeah.
Good enough.
So there's a separate right turn lane. And so I was in that and it looked like I was going to be able to go. And right when I was about to go, I realized I couldn't because a bunch of cars were coming. And so I just stopped on my brake. I didn't I accelerated just very little and then stopped. And literally right when I stopped, this car behind me slammed into the back of my car. And it honestly gave me a little bit of a whiplash from it. And I got out and it was I'm not trying to be mean, but it was this Indian guy. And he was I got out of the car and I just wanted to see if the back of my car was fucked up. And he was just like, no damage, no damage. And I was like, okay. And I was like dizzy from like getting my fucking like neck like snapped back and like forward. And he just kept like yelling over and over again. He's like, no damage, no damage. Don't call cops. We don't need to call the cops. And I was like, okay, okay. And then like a bunch of people were like honking at us because I was still like just sitting in like the turn lane because like I didn't know where to fucking go. And like the guy was in like a nice ass like Mercedes and like a nice ass suit, and I like could have easily taken advantage of him. And I was just like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna get fucking my car and go. Like I'm over it. Because he just kept yelling like the whole time over and over again. He's like, no damage, no he wouldn't let me say anything.
Next time I get in a car crash, no damage, no damage, no damage. Just leave.
Like that's all. He wouldn't even let me talk.
Damn, that's weird, dude.
I hit an Indian person as well. And right when like she got out of the car, she was just like, "You hit me, you hit me, you hit me," and I was like, I think we're past that. Like, we're both in traffic, out of our cars. Like clearly something's happened.
Yeah, but you hit me.
You
No
hit
shit.
Me, you hit me. It's like, yeah, unless you reverse going 10 miles an hour and backed into me.
Yeah, and
obviously
she's like, I called cops. I called cops. And Eric's like, okay, call the cops. I'm not going anywhere. I'm out of my car.
Did you get in trouble for that one?
Honestly, I didn't even like see any bill or anything from that because like I barely tapped her, and like I think the only part that I did hit, like she had marks from the corners of my license plate, and that's it. So I think she's just like, fuck it.
Well, yeah, it's just weird. We live in such a litigious society. Like, anything that happens, the first thing people do is be like, oh, I'm going to sue you, you know?
Yeah, my history teacher actually at Jacobs, he was a freshman, sophomore history teacher. He used to say all the fucking time that we're a sue happy country.
Wait, who? Which teacher?
I think his name was Mr. Vinny.
Oh, I never had Mr. Vinny.
Yeah, he was cool. I really liked him.
I had Mr. Liefeld. He was a G.
Yeah, Mr. Liefeld. He was my behind the wheel instructor, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, literally, I'm not. Okay, I don't know if I should even say this because I don't want to like get him in trouble. But
No.
like,
That's not
literally.
His name is not Mr. Liefeld.
What?
His name is Mr. Seinfeld.
Yeah, Mr. Reingeld. Yeah, he would like give you a passing grade for the day of driving as long as you practiced what he called everyday skills by going through the drive-thru at McDonald's and buying him a small fry.
What?
Yeah.
He also told our history class that he may or may not be bribed with Oreos.
Yeah. Actually, chocolate chip cookies too. He said if they're homemade, you basically get an A in the class.
What the heck? I've never even heard of this teacher.
He was like a chubby, like he just kind of seemed like your like big alpha male like football coach.
Yeah.
Had the gut and the cologne and the hair gel. And...
Yeah, for sure, the hair gel. He had like the short and down on the sides, but then like spiky right at the front of his like forehead.
Yep, it's like only the front of a faux hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he really liked the guillotine. That's like his favorite. Like when we got to that topic in history, when they were like cutting people's heads off, he would just light up like a fucking candle.
Light up like a candle.
Light up like a candle.
Well, all right. What about you, Luke? What you been up to since the last podcast?
I got elected president of Green Paws.
You did, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Some kid named Nick nominated me. I was like, okay.
Sounds like some insider trading went on.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Paper play over here.
No, dude, that's fucking exciting, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you ready for this shit?
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun, dude.
Yeah,
I hope you get director too.
Yeah, man. I hope I do too,
We'll
man.
just chill in the office and control the EMVS world.
Yeah. You, me, and Haley, man. It'll just be a power trio. Yeah. All right. Well, like, what else you been up to though? I mean,
Oh.
I feel like I only see you at D&D like the last 2 months. So
What else have I been up to?
I don't. I mean,
I've been really busy with school, just studying. I've been trying to buckle down with school more and actually studying for it, which has been pretty decent. Cause like I'm used to just doing the work, and passing by, but like I really want to get better at studying, especially since next semester I'll probably be busy again. So I need to start creating good habits, and so that's been a big thing. And then what else happened?
What do you do to like try to foster good habits? Like, what specifically are you doing different?
The main thing I do is I've been doing a thing in the morning where I'll make a to-do list and do other stuff that I do.
Mhm.
So I'll do that, and then in my to-do list I'll put like behaviors I want to incorporate that I haven't incorporated yet, and I'll do it every day though. Until it's actually incorporated into my behaviors. Like brushing my teeth, I do every day now. I don't need to worry about thinking about it because I just do it.
Did you not do that before every day?
I didn't used to brush my teeth every day, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I got you, man. Yeah, just like thinking.
That's
things
how I
every
am
day.
too, Luke. I have to write stuff down in order for me to do it.
Put on deodorant.
Yeah, I don't wear deodorant every day. Just because I didn't start sweating like under my armpits until I was maybe like 19,
Yeah.
almost 20.
Okay.
Like I did.
It was exclusively pussy sweat.
Oh, I've also been playing a lot of Pokemon Go.
Mm.
There you
So
go.
I have 6 Lugias and 5 Latios right now. They're the legendary Pokemon right now. That's all on Pokemon Go.
There you go. There you go. Are you getting them Gen 3 Pokemon?
Gen 1 is a special right now. So like there's higher catch rate spawn rates at Gen 1 for this week.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're out with Gen 3 now.
I'm glad that like people are still playing it. I mean, they've continued to release content for it.
Yeah.
So
No, the quest part right now is pretty cool too.
yeah, I'm glad that it's not like, oh, people kind of stopped playing. Let's just like have it dead in the water. That's cool.
I'm also going to the plant in Chicago tomorrow.
Oh, you are for that field trip?
Yes.
Oh, nice, dude. It's really cool. Have either of you ever been to the plant?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's so cool. So the plant, it's basically the building that the plant is in. Like the plant is it's an organization that owns a building that used to be a slaughterhouse in Chicago, in one of like the meatpacking neighborhoods that like they wrote about, like Sinclair wrote about in The Jungle. Yeah. And they renovated the entire inside, but kept a lot of the original equipment. And like they have, they're basically a small business incubator that is attempting to achieve a zero waste closed loop system, so that every output from one of the businesses is used as an input for a different business. Like they have an aquaponics business where they grow, God, what do they grow? I think they grow different kinds of like Swiss chard and like leafy greens and stuff in the basement, and they have fish, that eat all the like poop and stuff. Or no, the plants. Something like that. Something like I forget exactly where the poop's coming from that the fish are eating, but it's coming from. Oh, they have chickens. That's where it comes from. They have chickens as well. And then like the plants, get made obviously for whatever food is in like the there's like a restaurant. Yeah, and then there's a bakery and there's a brewery. So like the spent grain used to make the beer is used as like a base for like bread, or they like compact it into like these logs and use it as like fire for they have like a digester outside that digests all the shit and turns it into methane to like sell it back to the grid. It's really cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of really cool things.
Yeah, and they got a brewery and they got really good beer there.
Nice.
Have you been there, Nick?
Yeah, so he's going for a class trip, and I was in that class last semester.
Oh, okay, and you guys went there.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
What part of the city is it in? Do you know?
I could look it up. One sec. We have the technology.
Dude, they just said that when they're rebuilding. Oh, that's the other thing I've been doing, watching Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
While I'm studying for shit that I refuse to study. Like, if I, like, mentally am not ready to do something, I'll just watch TV while I do it.
You know what I'm really bad at?
What?
If I think a class is stupid, I put in, like, minimal effort into it.
Same.
Like,
Okay,
and,
so-
like, it bothers me that I do it because I know I should care more even if I think it's stupid. But then I just, like, and then, like, I'll start doing the assignment and I'm like, this is fucking dumb. Zero effort.
Yeah, I did that to my finance class until I was failing.
Oh, shit.
Because I was like, shit, well, it's not useful, but I'm also not good at it, so I definitely actually have to put effort in it.
So the plant is in a part of Chicago called Whiskey Point,
Of course.
which is by New City, Back of the Yards, and Canaryville.
Is it more north, the northern part of the city, or more south of the city?
It's like south-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's south.
What,
it's south.
Like, kind of closer to the loop?
What L stop is it by?
I don't know if they show that on this.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they
Alright.
do
The
now.
train thing.
This? Oh, I see it. I see what you're saying.
Right below there. No. That little train.
What are you talking?
Above the pond.
Above the pond?
Yeah.
This thing?
Yeah. Oh, you just missed it. Yep.
Oh, that one. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I don't know what that stop is. Huh.
Well, it would probably be called one of these.
Oh, okay, so it's by the end of the purple line, right?
I think so.
I've never been on the purple line.
I think
It goes by like McKinley Park and Mount Pleasant.
Or is that
Brighton-
brown line?
Brighton
Maybe
Park.
it's the brown line.
It might be the brown line.
Okay.
Is there a purple line? No, I can't
I
remember.
don't think that...
There's a pink line.
Pink
Yeah,
line,
there's
that's what I
a
was
stinking
thinking of.
pink.
They're the same color.
Blue, green, orange, red, pink, and
Blue.
brown, I think.
Yeah,
I
the
usually
brown and
only
the
wrote
pink
the
one
blue
are
and
like
the
the
red.
worst lines.
Are they really?
Those bring you to like...
I don't know, the end of the blue line is pretty fucking shady too.
Yeah, like the pink line for sure, and some of the
Yeah.
brown line bring you into like the, kind of like the really ghetto parts of the city.
I don't know.
Well, I've been
Yeah,
on
you don't
them,
wanna
so I
take
do
that.
know.
That might not be fair because I feel like all of the subways will take you somewhere into the ghetto.
But I
at
feel
some
like the
point.
pink line brings you into some like like its majority of it is
Yeah.
like pretty
Unbelievable.
pretty.
Well, it's right by like a big industrial center, which makes sense because it's where all the meatpacking used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry,
Shut
I
up.
didn't mean to
The
derail you,
pink
Luke.
line does bring you to a little village.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Little village is like
Little Village Pizza.
it's essentially Little Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a very high, like, I'm talking about, like, I went and did a couple of observations at some of their schools there, and, like, the whole entire school is 110% Hispanic.
Wow. 110%. That's pretty high.
That's a really
110%.
high.
I'm literally talking about every student there was literally some sort of Hispanic.
You mean Latino?
Latino.
You ignorant.
Latino.
Well, okay, so Hispanic means that you speak Spanish.
What is that?
Latino means you come from Spain.
I think you mixed them. I think you
No,
flipped
that's
them.
not true at all, Adela.
You flipped them.
Did I flip them?
No,
Well,
so
Spanish
that's
and
but that's
Spanish.
incorrect anyway because Hispanic is not like a well-defined category because sometimes it's considered a race and sometimes it's considered an ethnicity. Honestly, like in terms of like official quote unquote official like censusing kind of like racial categories, it's a muddy area for Hispanic. Latino means you come from Latin America generally. So people from Spain are not Latino because they're not from Latin America. But like Hispanic could mean any race or like a Spanish speaker because like it can be a cultural thing too. It's so weird, man. It doesn't. I mean, it's kind of
I
irrelevant.
personally don't care what the fuck you call me.
Boehner.
No, I don't like that. I don't think you call me that.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You said you didn't care though.
I mean, I personally don't care if you call me Hispanic or Latino. It doesn't really bother me.
Just don't call me Latina.
Just don't call me fucking Puerto Rican.
Yeah, you gotta earn that title.
Hey Nick, want to hear a really funny story?
Yeah.
So, I'm in this I don't know the actual name of the class. I just know it's whatever 365 is the name of the class, but there's an actual course name for it. It's essentially we have 4 different categories that we go throughout the semester. We go through African Americans, Hispanic / Latino population, Asian population, and then Native American population.
Yeah.
And essentially we just learn how to make care plans for people from different cultures. So and then ways to help them, how their culture affects their well-being, and just a bunch of different shit. And at the end of each section that we go through, there's a group project that different people are in charge of. And so the last group project, because we just ended with the Hispanic and Latino population, there's this group went and this one kid was in charge of the media section of the presentation. Okay. And so he names up all of these stereotypes that we see all the time on TV, that Hispanic people speak broken English and are maids and shit like that. And then he plays this video, and it's this campaign called "I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not a drug dealer." And it's it was this almost 10-minute video of all of these different people. It's I'm blah blah blah, and I'm CEO of Chase Bank, and I'm not a drug dealer. I'm blah blah blah, and
that was the whole message, was I'm not a drug dealer.
And I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not a drug dealer. And he just kept going it was the whole video was 10 minutes long.
Actually,
it was
I bet Chase Bank is involved in drug trafficking somehow.
It was okay, so like I said, it was this 10-minute video of all of these different Puerto Rican people saying I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not a drug dealer. And then it ends with these little kids. They're we're Puerto Rican and we're not drug dealers. Okay, so the video ends and this kid is just when I saw this video, I was wow,
who would have thought?
I was wow, I honestly had to rewatch this video because I was so moved by it. These people are Puerto Rican and they're not drug dealers. And I was sitting next to my fucking teacher, and I literally heard him chuckling underneath, he was trying not to chuckle, and I was trying so hard not to fucking laugh because this kid was so moved by this 10-minute video of all of these fucking Puerto Rican people saying I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not a drug dealer. And he just kept going on and on about it. He's just people think that they're drug dealers and they're not. They're just Puerto Ricans. Look at them. We had CEOs. We have people that are teachers. We have little kids and they're not drug dealers.
My whole life I just assumed that all Puerto Ricans dealt drugs, and now I know.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of sad, though. That reflects on Wisconsin, I think, a little bit.
There's
no,
not a lot
totally
of us
does.
Up here. Not a lot of us up here.
You're not well represented up in those parts.
Yeah, you got to get a little more towards Madison, Milwaukee to have some representation.
Yeah.
But there is an organization called the Wisconsin Alliance for Puerto Rico or some shit like that.
Is that true?
Yeah. And they had a bunch of people.
They also made their own video. I'm Puerto Rican and I'm not a drug dealer.
You son of a bitch. They had a bunch of veterans and stuff go to Puerto Rico for 6 months to help with the hurricane relief stuff.
Yeah.
And they just got back a month ago, I think.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do like us, but
they do
allegedly we have to educate them that we're not drug dealers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, So when I was so most of what I've been doing in the last month is, aside from the mad scramble of event organizing for Earth Week, it's been a lot of packing at my parents' place. And Passover happened. That was fun. Sarah got to experience the super Jewiness of Passover, which really, we're terrible Jews because honestly, we
You
like
just go to
barely
McDonald's?
follow the ceremony at all. Like we like rush through the whole. So there's a book called the Haggadah that you read from, which is like the book for Passover, and there's like passages that you're supposed to read from it, and it's supposed to take like 2 to 3 hours, and there's like all these little things you do throughout the reading,
Like
very
the symbolism
ceremonial.
with like the food and stuff. And
Right, and right, it's got the Seder plate. There's like the 5 different foods that represent different aspects of the Jewish struggle after leaving Egypt and all that. And like my cousin Amelia, who's like 15, was kind of like running the show this time around because all like the parents and the grandparents are kind of just over it. Like they don't want the responsibility other than making food.
they've been
So
Jewish for long
she
enough.
literally at the beginning of the ceremony though, she just goes, "All right, well, I don't really like know which parts were important, so I just picked the ones I liked, and that's what we're gonna read." And we were like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And then, so my uncle Bruce, who's my grandpa's younger brother, was supposed to read this long passage in Hebrew, which is called the Kiddush, and he was like reading it, but I could tell that he was reading it. There was like the actual in Hebrew, and then there was a phonetic version, and I could tell he was reading the phonetic one because he kept getting stopped up a bunch. And at one point, my grandpa was just like to him, he was like, Bruce, this is supposed to be like a 3-minute part. Just start making it up. They're not gonna know the difference.
Do you speak Hebrew at all?
Do I know? Well, I mean, like I know like a couple random words, but no.
Yeah, you can't just like read out of the like.
No, not really. I mean, I never went to Hebrew school, so I mean, because that's like the whole thing of Hebrew school is like you learn Hebrew and then.
Do you
have a
wish you
bar mitzvah.
did?
Do I wish I did?
Yeah, do you wish you went to Hebrew school?
Is it too late to go to Hebrew school? Like, do they have adult Hebrew school, or is that like something they want you to do when you're little?
I'm not sure exactly because all I know is that according to Jewish culture.
Do a Billy Madison
Bar
of
mitzvah
Hebrew school though.
Oh my
instead
god,
of
that'd
actual...
be so funny. Yeah, Billy Madinstein. Oh, okay, that's the name of the episode. Oh my god. Okay. Well, see, the reason I don't think that they probably do is because, according to Jewish culture, you become a man or a woman when you have a bar mitzvah at like 13. So technically, I'm not a man. I'm just a boy.
Aw.
You a man, Nick.
You lived in that boyhood. Nick, now you definitely have to go to Hebrew school. So we can
Yeah.
throw you
I wonder-
stuff.
But I wonder if they have like Vegas style bar mitzvahs where you can just like go and be like,
This is a
Mazel
drive-in
tov,
bar Have Elvis be your fucking dude, whatever they call him, rabbi.
Rabbi, yeah, my dude, my Jew dude.
Yeah.
You mean Geodude?
Dude. But I mean, Passover was cool. Everybody loved Sarah's dog Sierra. And then I just had my interview yesterday, or oh my god, today. It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
I just had my interview for that position I'm running for, Director of Environmental Affairs at NIU. So really excited about that. I think it went well. They like cut the interview short because basically they were like, "Man, you like covered all our questions. You'll be hearing from us hopefully by next Friday." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
Damn. Not this Friday though.
Nah, not today.
Bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to. Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, it is Friday the 13th, isn't it? Yeah. But it'll be pretty cool. I'm really hoping. So it's interesting because the position I'm running for, basically, it's like, so the student government body, like the United States government body, has a executive, judicial, and legislative branch. Like there's 45 student senators. There's like a chair of supreme judges for student related incidents. So it's not just like juries and judges of like non-student staff and stuff. And then there's a president, a chief of staff, a vice president, a treasurer, and I think that's the 4 actually. But yeah, so that's like the executive branch, and then the student president can choose his cabinet, and there's 13 cabinet positions that are all various positions that are called directors, where you direct various aspects of the executive agenda. And so I'm hoping to be appointed by this current president-elect Director of Environmental Affairs. So I would kind of act as like a liaison between like the ENVS department, the university, and like like the student body, and then also I'm helping to coordinate like all the different environmental initiatives that are going on between like the student organizations or like community organizations and like how they relate to like NIU as a whole and like outreach and stuff. I'm really pumped for it, man. I hope I get it.
That's pretty sweet.
That
Yeah.
does sound pretty sweet.
And
Fingers crossed.
I can work up to 25 hours a week if I want, which is like
Nice.
more than twice what I can work now, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Do you
I get to
guys
make-
have that like 20-hour limit for like the
Yeah, we
Affordable
do.
Care Act thing?
Well, we do, but there you can petition to have an extension on it for 5 more hours. So I'm gonna try to do that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, but that's definitely a thing. Yeah, man, I'm hoping I get it, because then I'll be director, and then Luke will be the president of one prominent environmental student org, and then our friend Haley will be the president of a different one, and I think the three of us can just fucking like run a real tight ship, you know?
Yeah.
Nice. Stacking the cards.
Yeah, man.
Crystal
Yeah,
knot.
exactly. Gotta
My
make.
last year count.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Gotta
Yep.
get that shit rolling.
Heard
Yeah,
that.
it'll be my last
Rolling,
year
rolling.
too, man.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
might have
Oh, you
another
and you got, all
semester.
three of you guys are graduating the same year. That's cool.
That's
Buddies.
cool.
I
Woo!
might have another semester, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I
We'll
might
see
have
how
like
it
a
goes.
summer one or something. I'm just gonna try to. Yeah, I'll take it as it comes. But
Yeah.
I don't want to graduate. I am dreading graduation.
what are you gonna do when you graduate, man?
I don't fucking know, Nicholas.
Mostly butt stuff.
Mostly
I
butt
honestly
stuff.
like. I think I kind of got like fucked out of an internship possibly, and so like I don't know for like sure yet though if I did or did not, and so like, I don't know if I should just be applying to like other places.
A wise man told me when I went back home
And-
last weekend that you should have a job lined up before you finish college, because once when you leave college, it's like you drove the car off the car lot. You're less reputable now, you know. They want you while you're still in school, you know.
That makes
Forget
me
how he
really
put it. He
stressed
put it better than I
Um,
just did.
out. Oh shit. But yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know.
Because
and
once when you're
then-
out of college, it's like, oh, why didn't he have a job right from college? Was he shitty? Oh, he was probably shitty.
Thanks.
You know, that's what I would think too.
Well, I mean,
So, and I just got and then like I applied to like my first big kid job like
Nice.
a few weeks ago, and then they sent me a letter in the mail, and Eric was just like, "Oh look, your job's like the job you applied for sent you a letter," and I opened it, and it was just like, "Dear Della Hoagland, we chose somebody else for the position. Thanks for applying."
Fuck.
And I was like, "Oh wow, thanks. That's really
Well-
nice of you to send me a fucking letter."
what have you like? What have you been doing in terms of like internships and experience
Yeah.
building, like while you're there?
Like while I've been at school,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally only have like Y experience. I have like the most recent experience I have is like the cooking class that I was essentially like in charge of like lesson planning, running the class when it was like my week to run it, and then I always bought like all the supplies for it and like helped budget for it.
Well, have you put that like
Yeah.
on your resume?
Yeah, like I have
Okay.
all of that on my resume. I even have like when I like interned at the Y last summer, like helping my boss out with camp. Like I
Yeah.
have like, and like I mean like I've had like I feel like I have like pretty like okay-ish experience. Like I like I said, like I did my internship at the Y last summer. I've been like a camp counselor. I've helped run a before and after school program. I was a preschool teacher. I was a camp coordinator. So like I think like the job I applied for was like a before and after school coordinator for Ho Chunk Nation, and then they like didn't like I don't know, they just didn't accept my application, I guess. And then like the internship I'm supposed to be having with Ho Chunk Nation, they just kind of like been really lagging with it. And when I talked to like the lady that my teacher like sent all my contact info to, they thought I was a social work major.
What?
And I'm not, and like so he sent my information to like the social work department, and they were like talking to me, and I was like I'm not like a social work major, so like I wouldn't, be like the best of help to you as an intern, because that's like all legal shit and like paperwork that I definitely don't understand. Like I was just honest with them, and the lady was like really nice about it. And she's like, oh yeah, she's like, that's not a problem. I'll send your information to like the community community services department. And like the community service department lady was supposed to call me back at the end of the week, and it was like a Wednesday, and she like didn't call me, and then it was spring break, so I thought maybe they didn't want to call me because like I let her know that I was going on spring break, but that I would be available. But like they also wanted to like set up a meeting, so I was like, okay. They didn't call me for spring break, and so then I like just gave it like a few days, and then finally like I emailed like the lady back, and I was like, hey, I haven't gotten a call from like the community service lady. Like, can you give me her contact information? And so I was talking on the phone with her, and she was telling me that like she's a director, so like I wouldn't be interning with her necessarily. I would be like interning in like the departments she helps run. But she like got back to me like right away, and so like she asked like a couple of people, and like they said that they weren't like willing to take on an intern because they're like not going to be at any of like they're not going to be like at any of their like normal locations this summer. They're going to be like all over Wisconsin for like different events and stuff. And so she was like, based from like your experience, I think you'd be good in like the youth services department. So like I'll send your information to her. So like essentially, if she doesn't find like a spot for me in her department, and the youth services lady doesn't want me, which I literally just applied to a job in youth services and my application got denied, so I'm not very like hopeful about it. Like I kind of just got fucked out of an internship, and I've literally been like dealing with this since like November.
Fuck. Dude, that's brutal, dude. But you can't already expect the worst though. I mean, that's the law of attraction, dude. You got to think good thoughts so that good outcomes come to you. I mean, I mean, well, also, it's not like your only option after graduating, you know what I mean, is like to apply solely to like reservation jobs necessarily, you know? I mean, I know that that's obviously something that you want to do right out the door, but it might even be more effective to try to get experience with some kind of youth services program in a non-reservation community, so you can build your experience just working with an entire like community-oriented program, so that maybe you'd be more like, they'll be like, oh, this person has experience working with, you know, various different communities. We think they would be a good fit because you know, they're up to the challenge of changing program dynamics and working with the community on, you know, various levels. So it's not like it's your only option is to put all your weight into this internship, because you gotta stack your cards with more than one ace in the hole, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm probably like, I don't know. I really definitely don't want to like, I don't want to be associated with like the Y that's in Steven's Point, because they're like really bad, like just really awful, like awful Y that they have here. And so like the only other place like I would really realistically like be able to like get a job at is like the Boys and Girls Club, which like I don't have a problem with the Boys and Girls Club. I just feel like it's like exactly like the Y.
Well, but you got to start trying to branch out into jobs that, I mean, I know that that's your experience.
But like a lot of the jobs like I've been looking at that I could like supposedly get with my degree, like I don't necessarily meet the requirements for yet. Like I was like asking my teacher about it, and he's just like, well, just apply to the job and see what happens. But like there's like a lot of like child, youth, and family studies jobs that like are available right now, because I literally look at jobs every day, and there's a lot of them. But like there's one for like it's called like a life skills class, and so like you're teaching like money management, how to be a good parent, like all of this shit, and I just like feel like it's unfair because it would be like I don't want to apply to that because how am I supposed to teach all of that shit when I'm like a 22-year-old and I'm going to be teaching like grown ass adult shit that I barely even understand myself. Like that's why I
But
don't
it'll
want to
help you
apply to
understand it even,
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. And
It'll help you grow.
and you
like,
gotta-
totally.
You kind of got to fake it till you make it anyway. I mean, that's what I've been doing my entire college career, and I'm running for a director position, dude. Like, you got to fulfill the role as you're.
That's how you
moving
get
through
better.
it. Yeah. You got to challenge yourself, dude. I mean, yeah, it's scary, but
You'll figure it out.
otherwise you're just going to be working at like the Y. You know what I mean? Like something, not the Y, but an organization like that all the time. And I mean, you've got a lot of potential, man. Don't sell yourself so short. You know, I mean, yeah, you're only 22 years old, but you and Eric have you're living in a fucking house. You both have jobs. You're both almost done with college. Like, you're not that poorly off for someone in their early 20s.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking people, that are in their 30s and 40s that live with their parents still, dude. I mean,
True that.
Sorry I've been so quiet, but I just read something about how Plato was actually like a badass wrestler and not just a philosopher. He was buff and won.
Oh, Plato.
Yeah, Plato, Plato. He won the it's called the Isthmian Games, and they were like the games that you would do to get you into the Olympics, and he won it twice in wrestling.
wow.
Plato's a badass. Nothing to do
Plato.
with what you guys were talking about, but that's why I was quiet.
That's your caveat?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Plato, well, that's... Okay, just to sum up, though, Adela, I love you, but you gotta... Eric's right, dude. You gotta be able to, accept and love yourself and your abilities, because you're a very talented young woman, and I wish you would see that in yourself like we do.
Did you say that? When the fuck did you say that?
I feel like that's something I would have said.
No, Eric's 100% said that before.
Yep.
We were talking about babies. You know? Remember? And Eric said that, yeah, but the reason you don't want a child or you want to put off a child is because there's things you don't love about yourself. And Eric was like, I know my baby would have great hair and would be funny as shit, you know?
Very symmetrical testicles and beautiful brown eyes.
I can't jump on with you on that one.
You're a little off kilter, or
Very symmetrical eyes. What?
no, very symmetrical testicles.
Yeah.
And beautiful brown eyes.
I do have beautiful brown eyes, though.
You do.
Right back at you. Oh, wow. Right back at you, buddy.
Thanks, BB.
But yes. So something interesting, though, about Plato is that he may not have existed.
I thought that was Socrates.
Oh, no, you're right. Plato taught Socrates, Socrates taught Aristotle. Yes, you're right. Socrates may not have existed. Because
that's
there are
weird.
no works of his own that were written, that were recorded by him. Everything that he ever said was recorded by Aristotle. So there's a theory that Socrates was an invented figure.
Isn't Lao Tzu? Don't people think Lao Tzu wasn't?
Yeah, I was just about to say Lao Tzu. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, man. The story for Lao Tzu goes that during the Warring States period in China, he was trying to leave China, and when he was, he was met at the gate by a guard who didn't want to let him leave, and in return for letting him leave China, he dispelled all of his life teachings on this guard, and the guard wrote down what he said, as the story goes.
And thus the Tao Te Ching was born.
You got it. Great book, man. I got that on my bookshelf over there.
I have only read passages that Dr. B. David Burke would read to us.
Oh, the Burkinator.
Yeah.
Wait, but didn't you have to buy the book for that class?
No, we just had to buy the Trial and Death of Socrates.
Oh, because you took Western or regular philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because I took Eastern philosophy.
Yeah, we just took the regular one, so we just kind of brushed over him.
Okay. See, there was a whole course kind of on, philosophy, Western philosophy in a mythology class that I had at ECC. with McTie. Did you ever have Dr. McTie?
No, but isn't that the guy we talked to him, right?
Yes, that's right. He always wore Jerry Garcia ties. He was an old school
Yeah.
deadhead, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome, dude. On his on the last day of the class, like while everybody was taking the final exam, he wrote a quote from Cassidy on the board.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let the words be yours, I am done with mine. Yeah.
Teaches.
So, I think that I'm pretty successfully turning Sarah into a deadhead.
Nice.
Because the other week, when we were driving back from Algonquin, she said, and I quote, this was after a particularly killer Big River with some sick Keith soloing, you know?
Okay.
She said, and I quote, "Oh my God, I think I love the dead."
It's probably, oh no, I
Yeah.
love the dead.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Yeah, she's a sucker for piano, though, because she plays piano, so, yeah.
Oh!
It got her, man. That Keith. I'm trying to show her the Brent, too, though. Not just the Keith, and the pig.
So, we're supposed to get some snow tomorrow over here.
Same.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, did it get canceled?
The tree ID portion got canceled. They're just waiving it. We just have to take the...
And that's it? And
The
that's how you
written
got...
portion.
So if you pass the written portion, you pass the whole exam?
Yeah.
Whoa!
I wish it was switched, though, because I could fuck up the tree ID portion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like that would be the hardest part of it.
I got 100% on the one I took last semester.
What class is this test for?
My forestry basic skills test.
Okay. Is that like accreditation kind of test?
So you have to pass like the sophomore and the junior level, and then when you take the senior level, if you pass it, you get the credit for it.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it builds on. So like the sophomore, so the juniors will have to take like the stuff that's on the sophomore test as well as the stuff on the junior test.
Yeah.
And the seniors have to take like the sophomore and the junior and the senior. It's just like, longer versions and stuff, so. But I gotta study up on my menstruation and shit.
On your, what did you just say?
Mensuration.
Menstruation?
Mensuration.
Oh, mensuration. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's just like timber measurements and stuff like that. Like standing tree volumes, measuring taper, like how much solid wood is in a log, like calculating how many like logs and bolts are inside of a standing tree and shit like that. And, yeah. There's a lot of scaling, timber scaling.
Don't you hate? Is scaling like climbing?
No, it's just like taking measurements for like how much wood you would get out of a tree if you were to sell
okay.
it at a
I got
mill and
you.
stuff like that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
if you meant scaling like traversing.
No.
Okay, because I was like, you don't like that shit.
Yeah, I guess more so like a scale, like, okay, I've got a 50-foot tree. I can make like 3 16-foot logs and then however many like poles or something like that.
Right, I got you.
Yeah,
That's
that kind
pretty
of
cool
stuff.
though. I'm pretty sure that after this semester, and I think Luke, you have yours already, but I'm pretty sure after this semester I'll have fulfilled my sustainable food certificate.
Nice.
Yeah. It's nice. The garden volunteer hours have opened up again, and it's nice to be out there again. I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, next semester I get to I get to take a nursery management class. And we get to visit a bunch of tree nurseries. And we have like a tree nursery on campus, and they teach us how to do like root grafting, and like they graft like apple trees and shit like that. So we learned some cool shit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to know that.
Yeah. I'll send you the notes.
Oh, hell yeah.
The notes.
Send me them notes.
Deal
My
notes.
grandpa has some apple trees. I could practice.
Who?
My grandfather.
My grandfather.
Mine Poppy.
Mine, Poppy.
Mine Poppy? Mine Kampf.
That's pretty cool though, dude. I really enjoy like learning like the the practical application aspects of stuff like that. Like tree grafting makes sense for like why you would want to know that, because you could literally like make your own fucking orchard if you wanted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I very much enjoyed that expo that I went to. Did I tell you guys about that expo?
No, you told us you were helping out with it, but you never told us how it went.
Okay, so first of all, it was awesome. So basically, I got involved in this whole thing in like a really weird way, because there was this like girl that I'd like known through the ENVS department for a little while, and she knew that I was into like the community gardens and like helping out with sustainable food and stuff. And she had an obligation to help out at this expo called the Good Food Festival, which they held at the UIC, like the pavilion or whatever you want to call it.
Is that like the Merriweather Post Pavilion?
No, it wasn't that one. It was I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was the smaller one. It was like an auditorium though.
Okay, I know it. I'm thinking of something else.
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking of a dead.
I think you were too, yeah. I was like, Merriweather Post Pavilion. I know some JGB shows from it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. 89, buddy. But, so she found out that she had something else she had to do, so she basically wanted me to help this woman because the woman who runs the company in which we were representing, her name was Donna, and she was really cool. She's like in her late 60s, and a couple years ago, she had a pretty substantial back injury, so she has to use a walker now, and she just wasn't able to to do it, man, because we literally, like, I got up at 4:30, I got to their farm in Big Rock, which is kind of by Hinckley, which it's basically like a half hour southeast of DeKalb. I got to the farm at 6, we left the farm at 6:30. This was myself and one of the interns, his name was Sean, with the farm, drove all the way out to Chicago, to the UIC, like off Roosevelt or whatever, and then basically the expo was like 120 or so smaller independent either like farms or it was essentially like all centered around local food and using products from farms in other uses as well. Like, for instance, Donna's farm was an organic farm that had 30 sheep, a chicken, it had some, like lambs and stuff, and then they also had like a bunch of organic vegetables, and it was a CSA. So all the food that's grown on the farm, CSA program, they'll have shares that you can buy into, like harvest boxes and stuff. But the cool thing was, all of the byproducts of having the sheep, other than just having them for meat, was they would use the wool for her daughter's company, which was called Esther's Place, where they made a bunch of all organic wool products and like quilting and knitting and stuff. And then the sheep's milk was also used to make natural soap and shit, and like all sorts of like cool like all natural hygienic products and stuff. So we were essentially representing like two different companies, and it was an event that was open to the public. There was like 9,000 to 10,000 people that came like and attended the event.
Holy shit.
There was mobs of people everywhere, dude. I was just on my feet I was on my feet from 8 in the morning until 5 at night. We were just going. Just like talking to people, trying to sell a bunch of stuff, trying to get people to sign up for the CSA for the summer. And basically it was just like 120 different like small independent like farms and food distributors and like all organic hygiene places and like, all that kind of stuff. Fish, beef, vegan stuff. There was a guy that was like a mushroom forager, and he had a bunch of like mushrooms that were from his company that were there. And like most of the time I was there helping like run the booth, but a lot of it I got to just like wander around and go to like all the different cool like independent companies and stuff, and I made like a couple cool connections. It was pretty badass actually.
Yeah, that's sick.
It was just a long day because I got home, I picked up Sarah.
Did you run into any of the Mike-inids there?
Yeah. Oh, Mike. I picked up Sarah at like 7:30, and then by 8 or so we came back to here for D&D, and then we were up until 1:30. Yeah. So I got like Jesus. I was up for like 22 hours straight.
And doing something the whole time.
Yeah, and not stopping at all. Yeah, driving, boothing, driving.
You said boofing?
Boofing, no.
tabling, and then D&D, and then sleep.
That's a pretty wild schedule.
Yeah, it was intense. It was cool though. The one intern that I had been talking to, like the one that came in the car with me to like help me get all the shit like into the pavilion at the expo center or whatever. And we were talking a bunch about like philosophy, and he gave me his book that he just recently got published called Foundation for Exploration, and it's just like philosophy that like he wrote as he's been traveling across the country for the last 4 years. And then the other intern that met us at the expo and took the train up was a really cool guy who like actually works for Donna like full time, and he's a fan of The Fungus Among Us, and we talked about that a lot.
Which fungus among us?
The best kind.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was really cool, like a cool like seeing in action like all these different people and community members like wanting to get a stronger and like closer connection with their food. It was very encouraging.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. How was your last like expo thing you went to? Didn't you get some koozies?
Actually, no, I didn't. At the last one I went to was that like Wisconsin Arborist Association, and it was more just like a educational kind of deal. Just like all talks. The show floor was like pretty small, and it was mostly just to like listen to like the professionals and what they've been like, the research they've been doing and shit like that. So that's pretty cool. Free beer. I mean, that's what we got, so no complaints. Free beer, a lot of free food, so.
Hey, I mean, you know, sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah. Drink Wisconsinably.
I like drink Chicagoanably.
Mm-mm.
Fuck off, Eric.
We're better at it up here.
I'm going to a conference next week.
True, Adela's conferencing.
Pikachu.
Wait, hold on. What conference are you going to? Are you going to the Native conference?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to that. Maybe I can network there. Talk
Dude,
to
yeah, of course you can network there,
That's
dude.
the place to do it. That's what they're for.
That's true.
I'll just print off mass amounts of my resume and just like hand them to everyone I meet.
No, dude,
Legit.
you need to make business cards too, man.
Legit, like talk to people there, be like, oh, and here's my resume
And here's my card.
That's what
or
we did.
card.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I didn't because I already had a job set up for my last one, but like they would.
I don't have enough time to print out business cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
you
print
do.
off like 4 or
Dude,
5
Vistaprint,
copies of your
dude.
resume.
Okay.
There's always time.
Yeah,
And just
Vistaprint.
carry them with me.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
yeah, keep a folder with you and get business cards and just put them in there. and
But I
shit
don't
like
have. I can't. I don't have time to get business cards.
that. I'm saying get the business cards that
From-
people
oh,
give you.
from them.
Yeah, and just put that in there, and then if like you hit it off, give them a resume.
I'm just like so awkward. I'll be like, hi.
Yeah, but just
But
don't
you'll
be
get
like
better
that.
at it.
Yeah.
You'll get better at it.
Just don't say that, and you'll be fine.
Just don't say hi.
No, you're like that. But you say it like Stitch does. How?
And like, it's just like, I also hate it too because like, I don't mean this in like a bad way, like I really don't, but then like I don't like when they're like, oh, are you native? And then I'm like, no.
You want me to be?
Yeah. Like,
I'm
if
1/16 Cherokee.
if I say yes, will you give me a fucking job?
Do I look native? Yep, I'm native.
Just whoa, but you can say that. You can say because it's true from your grandparents or whatever that you're Mexican native.
Yeah, you're not a native North American, but
I
Well-
feel like that doesn't count though.
tell them to stop
Why?
being petty. Say, listen up.
First
You're
of all,
You're not the
every-
only Native Americans, okay, in North America. We got South
No.
American
There's
natives.
that they do. They like. That's mean to say because a lot of Native
that
American
was mean
people
to say,
do
Bella.
accept indigenous people all across.
Then why are you scared?
Because I just don't feel comfortable saying
You
that.
just disproved your own talking point, sister.
I don't personally feel comfortable saying that. I know there's like actual Native people that like will openly like accept people like no matter what kind of like indigenous person.
Tell them
they
you're
come from.
Siberian.
Okay, hold on. But that's like saying that I
Are not Jewish.
right, exactly.
Well,
Well, hold on, but I've talked to my cousin about this, who's the most Jewish person I know,
Mhm.
my cousin Naomi, and she said that she's never once heard from any Reformed Jew. Because Orthodox Jews, yeah, that's a whole other story. That's like talking to Puritans for Christians, you know. But like Reformed Jews, which is the vast majority of Jews, like if you have a Jewish parent,
You're Jewish.
then like if you want to say you're fucking Jewish, then you're Jewish. You know what I mean? Like I've gone to Passover and Hanukkah and Yom Kippur and all that shit every year since I was fucking born. So you know.
I'm Jew.
You're walking that walk. You're talking that talk.
Yeah, man. I know the Kiddush. I don't know what it means, but I could read it out of that book. I know what the Seder plate stuff means. But you know, I mean, like, you could just say, well, no, I'm not an enrolled tribal member according to the federal government, but my family, they're, you know, are native Mexicans. There you go. Enough said.
Boom. Write it on your hand.
Yeah, Eric makes fun of me because like every time I talk to somebody, I like write down what I want to say to them.
She was gonna leave somebody a voicemail, and she wrote
like a
the
script.
whole voicemail.
I wrote the whole voicemail down on a
Really?
piece of paper. Yeah, like I just get like so anxious talking to people, and like I just like sound so dumb because I'm so anxious
Because you don't believe in yourself.
that like I have to write it down to like make sure I get like every point that I need to make.
Well, you can write it down, but you shouldn't carry it with you. You know what I mean? Like, you should carry it with you in your head.
That's what your business card should say. If they ask you that, give them a business card.
With like everything I want written down. Hello, my name is Adela.
I am not an enrolled tribal member,
Hi, Adela. But the thing about that, in terms of trying to find a job or networking through this indigenous conference that you're going to, enrollment amongst like tribal members is a touchy issue anyway, because there's so many so much.
It definitely is.
Right. So like the fact that you're not a member of an enrolled like tribal family or don't have ties to an enrolled reservation family member, like, you know, saying you're like a Mexican native, which by your own accounts is true because you've told me about your grandparents and shit.
Allegedly.
Well,
Just kidding.
yeah, but they're not going to look into that. You know, I mean, it's not like you should try to like define yourself by being like, oh, I'm going to try to be a Mexican native now. You're just, you know what I mean? Like, you are Adela, and there you go. So
You're
fucking play to your
ridiculous.
strengths, man.
Yeah, I just. Hello, my name is Adela.
I think what you need is another fucking regimen of the boom booms.
you need to go boom boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Everybody say way-o.
No, man, I can't handle that.
No, you can. And, you know, you'll be fine. And next time we'll try 3.
Oh my god.
Fine.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. No,
Oh
see,
my
what we gotta do, though, is we gotta not, like, be dumb and just assume that the second it, like, tears its claws out of you, right at that, like, 4-hour mark, that it's all clear and smoke a bunch again. Because when that happened, I was like, oh god, why?
Why? Oh god, why?
I just remember, like, standing up and pacing for a little while and just being like, oh boy.
Yeah, that was really overwhelming. I don't know if I want to do that again.
It'll be fine. You'd be in good company. Don't you remember how great it was when the 3 of us were just on the couch together and we were all saying how much we loved each other and what trees we liked?
Yeah, but by the end of it, I was like really overwhelmed and I didn't even like want to be like that anymore.
But
Like I was going through an internal struggle and nobody knew I was going through an
Because you
internal
didn't say
struggle.
anything.
Yeah,
Well-
because I didn't want to ruin everyone else's.
No, dude, I was
Fine.
going through an internal struggle too, man. I was dealing with a lot of shit that I was thinking about with like my grandparents and stuff. I mean, that trip, I agree, was actually quite overwhelming. I still think it was useful as an experience, But the most recent 3 trips that I've had on booms have been incredible. So you can't let one intense experience when you've got a lot of shit going on in your head, ruin the rest of your ability to, want to try that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. That shit was pretty intense.
Oh yeah.
But it was fun.
I mean, yeah. Most of it, I had a good time, and I feel like I got a lot out of it. It's just like there were a couple moments where I was like, I can't even talk. I feel like my hands aren't attached to my body anymore.
Trying to take a piss was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, you're just standing there, and you're looking down, and you can obviously see that nothing's coming out, but it feels like you're pissing, or vice versa.
I was like, am I pushing hard enough? And then I remember I almost shit myself because
oh my God.
I thought I had to pee, and I was just standing there trying to push the pee out, and I was like, I think I'm gonna poop myself. It's dangerous.
Yeah,
I remember looking at myself in the mirror one point, and I was just like, I shouldn't have looked in the mirror. Nah,
I
dude.
shouldn't have done it.
I think it would help you, especially because you know what to expect now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest problem that both of us had was that we tried to fight it, because I definitely did. I was like,
yeah,
no,
I was
no!
I was
trying
fighting
to dig
it
my heels
the
in
entire time.
Well, because the thing is, unlike Lucy, you can't think your way out of an intense mushroom trip.
It just I feel like it's kind of once a thought pops into your head, and even if you don't want to think about it anymore, every time you are okay, I don't want to think about this, it just drags you in a little bit deeper.
Well, right,
and
you
you're
have to just kind of
I don't want to think about that anymore, and then it just drags you in a little more.
Well, right, you can never say I don't want to blank on mushrooms. You just have to ride the experience, because it's going to take you where it wants to go. But the majority of the experiences I've had, I've probably done it 30 times. Majority of the times are very enjoyable. It's just, it happens. Sometimes they gotta slap you straight. That cosmic slap in the face, man.
They gotta slap you.
I was
that's honestly, very true. I felt like I got slapped in the fucking face multiple times after that.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking back from class earlier this week, and I was thinking about the mushroom trip, and I got the chills down my spine when I was trying to think of the details of how I felt,
mm-hmm.
and kind of re-pull that body feeling that I had.
Yeah.
And I just started laughing, and I was like, damn, I can't believe I put my fucking body through that for so many hours. And we smoked that bowl afterwards, and we thought we were in the clear, and it just
we thought we were so in the clear.
It just fastballed us back into the abyss.
Yeah, dude, totally. I remember we were smiling and giggling, and we packed that bowl, and we were just smoking, and then we looked at each other 5 minutes after smoking it, and we were just both sweating and I just remember you got that gig attack by the end too, and I was starting to get a little concerned because it went on for 3 minutes, and I was just oh my god, is he gonna just laugh himself to death?
Yeah, that was over those crazy uncontacted tribe people that didn't like vertical structures, allegedly.
Oh, when I was telling you that story.
It's disrespectful to live on top of somebody.
It was the tribe in Brazil.
That bullshit.
Huh. I don't remember that part of the story.
Yeah, you just did not understand that. Your brain would not comprehend, that whole entire story.
Because man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that guy looks like Bernie Sanders. Who? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders? Where's he from? Where's he from? Where's he from? Vermont? Vermont? Yeah, Vermont sounds right.
And then I, at the end of that conversation, I was like, guys, that guy looks nothing like Bernie Sanders.
And then Rachel's just I think I'm gonna go, guys.
That was so sad.
I remember at one point I was trying to play Stardew Valley, and I just could not handle it. Because, in the game, it was snowing, and I couldn't tell if the snow coming down was in my head or not. I couldn't tell if the way it was moving on the screen was, because, yeah.
Dude, do you ever, I do this at, the last time that we had, a good snowfall, last week. it was coming. We had a day. I don't remember what day, but it literally just snowed
it was,
all day.
Monday to Tuesday.
Yeah, Monday to Tuesday,
It literally
just,
snowed
like,
all day.
24 hours of snow. And when I was walking back from class, I was like looking at the ground, and like the sun was still out as it was snowing. So like I could see like it felt like all the individuals just like flashing of like the snowflakes on the ground from the sun, just like the reflection off of them. And it's just like it looked like a million little just like stars twinkling, and it would like fuck up like my focus in my eyes, and like I couldn't tell if like it was like one of those things where like you look up at a light for a long time and you see like those light spots.
Right.
And it kind of felt like that, and I thought I was gonna like pass out. I was like, Jesus Christ! It was like I can't even explain it right. But it was just one of like the weirdest like little sensations that I've had. Like
Really?
totally like, you know, stone sober, just walking back from class. But it was almost like I was being like hypnotized by these little like flashes of light that were happening. It was the weirdest thing. I almost felt like epileptic or something.
Wow. Do you know? Well, so had you eaten it all like that day, really?
Yeah.
And you've been drinking a regular amount of water?
Yep, I've been drinking like a lot of tea and water lately.
Okay. Well, because I was
Trying
going to say, it could have been kind of like the time that you fucking passed out in my basement.
No, but that actually, that's pretty funny. I'm pretty good at like feeling out when that's going to happen again. And it actually happened when I was at my, at that WAA conference.
Oh, God.
Because
you get too fucked up?
I don't know what it was. It might have been that. I think it was just another one of those things where like I just went all day without drinking any water. And I was with my buddy Marcus, and his sister goes to school in Green Bay, so we were hanging out with her. And we were just like at her apartment, and we were smoking and stuff. And like I got up to go to the bathroom, and like I got lightheaded. And then when I was in the bathroom, I like started to get that feeling again. Like I started to get the tunnel vision, and I was like, oh shit, I'm going down. And I went to go like sit on the toilet, and then like I just woke up on the floor like a couple seconds later.
Shit,
and I was like,
dude.
and I started laughing, and I was like, oh man. And I walked out of the bathroom, and like clearly like I fell. And like I walked out, and Marcus looked at me, and he's like, he didn't say anything, and I was just like, oh yeah, I slipped. Like tried to play it off, and they're like, oh okay, that's kind of weird. That was fucked. Yeah, drink your water, boys and girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't. Oh, wait, Luke's drinking
Okay.
water right now.
Good. I'm drinking a Budweiser. There's
Oh.
water.
I'm drinking a Budweiser.
Budweiser at 4:51 p.m.
Budweiser.
A Budweiser. A Budweiser.
So has Adela been continuing to make her dog noise at you?
What do you mean?
What dog noises?
What's she calling
What
you?
dog noises?
What?
Come on, you made a whole spiel about how you have the perfect dog noise.
Oh, how I bark at people that pass by our house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she hasn't done that.
No, she barks at him as he leaves, I thought.
Pussy
Oh
tickler.
yeah, I do also bark at Eric when he leaves.
It hasn't happened in a while.
Mostly because Eric yells at me every time I do it.
You just can't react, Eric. She's only made stronger by your reaction.
No, that's not true, because she's an only child, so she's immune to like a reaction. She's just like, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Well, you might have something there.
That's actually I've never heard anything more true about myself before. So fucking true.
Yeah, I like literally cannot imagine what it'd be like to be an only child, because I love my siblings. I mean, it's, you know.
I do wish I really wish I had an older brother.
An
Me
older
too.
brother.
As the oldest brother, I thought it would be cool to have an older brother.
I think it's cool to have older brothers.
Yeah, fucking baby.
I don't think I'd
I
want a
have
younger.
older
I don't
sister.
think I'd want a younger brother.
Would you want a sister? Would any of you guys want a sister?
I have an older sister.
Luke, you have an older sister, you said?
Yeah.
Do you like having an older sister?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, of course, you know. Like, I wonder what it would be like having an older brother compared to an older sister, but I like having an older sister.
Are you guys close?
Yeah. I visited
she,
her
like-
during spring break.
How? Oh, that's cool. Where does she live?
Bria, Kentucky right now.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Went to that Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Is
actually
she?
really
How
nice.
much older is she than you?
I want to say 2 years. She was born in
that's
91,
not
so
bad.
2 years.
Nice.
I really hate when people like space their kids out the wrong way.
What do
Like,
you mean?
do you know what I mean? Like they have a kid, and then like when the kid's like 8, they have another baby, and then
Yeah.
like you're 8 years apart, so you're not even gonna be like close to your sibling.
That's
they,
not
like,
true.
plan
Me
it
and-
that way,
me and
though.
Matt Lou are 10
But
years
I
apart.
feel like that's different when you like have siblings in between. Like, you know what I mean? Like
The only
that's how,
excuse they can
isn't
have
that
is
like
if
how
you had
and Eamon are
miscarriages.
too, Nick? Like you guys are pretty far apart in age as well. Like
Who, Eamon
you and
and I?
Eamon are.
Yeah.
But you guys are close because you have like that middle sibling.
I wouldn't I wouldn't say that Justin and Steven or like Alexander are the reasons that me and Matthew and him and Eamon are like close.
I'm saying
agree.
though that like if it was just you and Matt, just the two of you guys, I don't think you guys would be as close.
I think we'd be closer because then there's nobody else to. Because
You
like
think
obviously,
you think you'd be closer to Matt?
if it was just me,
Matt
and
would technically
yes.
be an only child then.
What? How? If it was me?
Because
and
you would
Matthew?
be out of the house by the time he was like in 5th grade. You would be in college already. You'd be long gone.
That doesn't matter. I don't live with Justin, and me and Justin are still closer than
But
all
that's
of our
because you
other
guys are
brothers.
closer in age.
No, I kind of see what she's saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
yeah, because
I know
that
a lot of people who are like have really big age gaps between their siblings, and they don't have a very close relationship with them, and it's just the two of them. I've
But
heard
what
that
do you
from a
mean-
lot of people.
What do you mean by like a very close relationship? Like
They don't have they don't have a relationship like you and Justin or you and Steven or you and Matt, or how Nick has like a relationship with his brothers. Yeah, they're close with them, but they don't have like a close relationship where like you and Justin can like hang out and have like a really great time together. Like they might not necessarily do that. They might just like hang out when like the family gets together, or like when they're maybe like home for the weekend or something. Like they don't I would say that they're siblings, they're not friends. I feel like there's a difference, like when you have like a sibling, like I think
Well-
like a sibling friendship relationship.
Well, I think as the rule goes, like with most things involving people, it is still based on an individual basis. But I think on average, I think Adele is probably right in this because, I mean, it's true if you think about it. If you were, say, 10 years older than your sibling and it was just the two of you, then by the time that your sibling, like the younger one, is like 8 years old, you're already going to college. So it is kind of true. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, my argument for that was like Adele. Let's say Adele is an only child, right? Let's say she's been used to being an only child and she's lonely like she is now, and let's say like her little cousin Erick is her sibling. I think that going from an only child to now having this is my younger brother, like I get to show them all this shit, like I get to help them grow into a person. Like I think having that is it may be different than the type of relationship
It's definitely
me and
different
Justin
if
has,
you
but
go
it's the
away to
same type
school
of-
though.
it's
Like
the
like
same
Nick
type of
said,
thing,
if you
though.
go away for college, you're only seeing that sibling when they're 10 years old for like winter break and spring break and summer, and then maybe that's even for like 2 years, because normally when you're like a junior, you don't even come home at that point.
I don't know. Because I know people that are our
Eric's salty because he's in love with all of his brothers.
I know people that are my age that I've worked with who have like siblings that are like 1 and 2 years old, and
That's disgusting.
And they love the fuck out of them, and they love them like no other.
That's
it's like
so
it's
gross.
not their baby.
I feel like if you're a parent and
But-
you have a
but
fucking
hold on,
child
hold on,
that's
hold on,
already,
hold on,
like,
hold on, hold on.
19 years old
Hey.
and you have a baby,
Hey.
that's gross.
But if you have a kid when you're young, and then you have a kid when a
I
normal
don't care.
person might have
That's
a kid,
gross.
it's normal.
No.
You should not
But
do
you
that.
have to remember that that's a different kind of relationship, because there's a difference between like a 20-year gap and a 10-year gap. Because if it's a 20-year gap, then the relationship that you're building with that person is more alike to being like an uncle or an aunt or a mom or dad than it is
Yeah,
like
that's
a
very
sibling.
true.
Because at that point, you're old enough to kind of almost have like a
Have them yourself.
yeah, like a paternal or maternal influence on them, as opposed to just a. Because for instance, my grandpa had 7 siblings. Between the oldest and youngest, there was a 24-year age gap.
Holy shit, that's
Yeah.
gross.
Right. And like, literally, my grandpa's older sisters raised his youngest sister, basically. You know what I mean? And obviously, Eric, I mean, yeah, it doesn't apply to every situation, and it might not even apply to most, but I just agree that I could see how that might happen due to an age gap like that.
I don't know. I just don't see it playing like that big of a factor.
But again, that's because we have the bias of already being people with really close sibling relationships. Like,
I think one of my favorite things about being an only child is seeing how other people like have relationships with their siblings. Because I've had like one of my like good friends in high school. It's like really interesting because her and her older brother, they weren't that big of an age gap. I think it may have been like a 5-year age gap. And they literally always hated each other. Like, from the time she was born until, like, high school, they always hated each other. And, like, up until, like, maybe, like, 2 years ago, they just started being close.
wow.
And I guess I would also, okay, so you and your cousins, Adela, are like siblings.
Yeah.
And you have cousins that are closer to your age, but you're closer to the youngest cousin, right?
Yeah.
And that has no effect.
But that's because I'm also really immature.
That doesn't mean anything. No, you're not. You're going to college. You have a job.
I'm like mentally stuck as a 10-year-old little
You're
boy.
not. That's not true. That is untrue.
You don't fucking know
So
me.
what about that?
I'm not denying that there are people that are close with their siblings even though they have a large age gap. I'm just saying I feel like there's more people that the bigger the age gap, the less of a relationship that they have with their. I'm not saying that they don't have a relationship at all. I'm saying they don't have a friendship with their sibling,
But,
or less of a friendship with their sibling.
I think it's hard to say like a friendship though until like. I mean, like, I don't know. It's hard. Like, are you friends with your mom? Are you friends with other 13-year-olds? Like. The friendship is weird. Like, obviously,
all of my friends are 13.
You're not gonna go out of your way to befriend somebody now who's 13. But if it's like your sibling, it's different. Like, I can go home and I can hang out with Matthew like nothing. Like, I can hang out with Matthew. I won't smoke pot with him like I do Justin and Steven, but I can go out to lunch with Matt. I could fucking play basketball out front with Matt. I can make pussy jokes to Matt and watch him giggle. 'cause he still
I mean,
laughs at the word
like,
pussy
now
and stuff
thinking
like
about
that.
it, like, I hang out through my non-school organizations, I hang out with people who are, like, 6 years old, and we'll, like, talk about random shit. And actually, I talked to my grandpa the other day, okay, and he's 78, and he just made sex jokes at me, like, the whole time we talked, pretty much. You know, like, just as bad as, like, I mean, me and Nick actually make less sex jokes, I feel like. Yeah, like, ours are more nerd jokes than sex jokes.
You and who?
Me and my grandpa.
Oh.
So, like, I mean, I feel like sometimes, like, I can relate to my grandpa on a sibling way, but then also he is a very grandfather way, too, you know? And then I'll talk to people through the organizations, like, in the same way, too, but then I'll also talk to them about, like, spiritual shit, you know? So, like, I don't know. I feel like you can be friends with anyone, and it's kind of like just like how you feel about that person that way, and I feel like me and Nick is almost a little bit more than a friendship, you know, my personal, like, view of it, you know?
It's romantic.
Like, not, like, quite, like, brotherly, but almost, you know?
Like cousinly.
Oh, yeah,
It's
like
like that
cousins. Like,
brother.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the Native North American way of looking at familial relationships, where when you become close to somebody who's not related to you, you just incorporate them as like what they call your clan cousin. Let's say you're like my cousin, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So just because this is all four of us talking about shit that we don't have any scientific backing for, aside from our own personal experiences, I've just looked up many, well, not many, but 3 different articles related to age gap and sibling relationships. And so it seems that there's like a weird... So on average, it's like siblings who are born within 3 years of each other tend to be very close at a young age, but competition arises as they get older. Like from 5 to 7 years, it's kind of like the people are jealous of there being like a new baby, but as they get older, they become fairly close. But then from like 8 to 10 years, it's they're taking on part of the caring aspect, and
It's
then
like a
as it goes
parental
up
role.
from 10 years, it becomes more and more like that, to where it's like it's an extended. It says right here. Well, with that many. Okay, so yet when the age gap is extreme, such as 15 years or more, the sibling relationship is altered. With that many years in between two children, emotionally and psychologically, they do not have a sibling relationship. What develops is more of an extended family relationship. The older child becomes like an aunt or an uncle. There is not the same camaraderie that exists between two siblings who grow up together. So there is evidence to back that this is a definite possibility, and it does happen with a lot.
But it doesn't have to.
No, well, right, and
Exactly.
I think that this is also talking about, like Adela was saying, like 1 and 1, like not with the age gap being broken up in between, because that I think does have a lot to do with it. So, bam, science.
I love science. I love research.
Erick's probably like, you've never said that in your life.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. I heard you bitch about biology 101.
I love human science.
Yeah, but so there's a decent amount of research to support that. Ooh.
Erick's mind is exploding. He's like, wow, can't believe
Nah.
Adela was semi-right about something.
No. It's just because, I mean, just from, like, the dynamic that I grew up with and, like, my cousins and shit like that, like, yes, me and Justin are close because we grew up together, but Steven's 6 years younger than me, and I hang out with Steven now, Steven hangs out with Justin now, and Steven hangs out with me now. It's just, like, the same thing. And I think it's just, like, the barrier of things that you can do with somebody. Like, I can go play baseball with Justin when Matt was a baby. Like, I can't pitch a baseball at Matthew, but that doesn't mean that, like, the type of brotherly affection I have towards Matthew is any less than it
I'm
is with
not
Justin.
denying that. I'm just saying, like, and that goes
And
back
I think
to, like,
for most, just like Frankie and Gabriella and stuff like that, like, or Dominic and Gabriella. Like, Dominic's 13 plus years older than Gabriella. He loves her more than he likes Frankie, and him and Frankie are closer in age than him and Gabriella.
yeah, I don't know. I always just think it's, like, really interesting when siblings don't like one another.
I can't imagine, honestly.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, my mom always says that too. Like, my mom's like, I can never, like, imagine not talking to any of my sisters. Or, like, but I know a few people that, like, just really don't like their siblings.
How? I guess, no, actually, I've seen it before. Never mind.
Like, I just think that's so weird because, like, you guys grow up in the same house with the same parents. So, like, just, like, what happened? Like, is it a personality thing? Or, like, did something happen?
Well, yeah,
Or...
so in a situation like that, I wonder if it has more to do with interpersonal relationships between the siblings, or whether or not it's due to the parenting style.
Yeah. People are weird, man. Like, relationships are just really weird.
Well, they're like living things, man.
Yeah. I remember hearing this, like, I think I learned about this in class, or, like, we had to read a study in class, but essentially, what I read or learned was, what happens in a lot of families is that if you ask them, like, let's say your family goes on a vacation to Florida when you're 9 years old,
Okay.
and a few years later, you get asked about the family vacation. And you get asked about, like, your perspective. And, like, let's say you remember, like, oh, yeah, it was, like, a really great time. I loved it. We went and played at the beach. And let's say Alexander's just like, no, like, he's like, yeah, I had a really good time, but I noticed that my mom and dad were fighting the whole entire time. And then they ask Eamon, oh, how was the vacation? He's like, oh, like, It was an okay vacation. My parents fought, but then I also had a really good time, and like we went and played at this like park that maybe none of you guys even remember being at this park with. And I think a lot of that has to do with like I just think it's interesting that even like though you guys can all grow up in the same house and obviously have like the same parents, you have like very different perspectives on how like your childhood was because of how you perceive the world.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, one thing that I think about a lot in my, like, honestly, in my day-to-day life, is the fact of like how sibling stereotypes play out, and like how it's. I think it definitely is true to a certain degree that like third comma or third slash last child, whichever it happens to be, is like maybe the most spoiled because the parents are already kind of tired of dealing with 10 or 11 years of responsibility to that extent. And like for instance, Eamon babysat me and Alexander for a long time when we were younger, and like I wonder often, or not wonder, but I think about often like the fact that it is true. I think I benefited a lot from my parents being more relaxed in terms of their discipline on certain things, but in other ways, I think that I really missed out on a lot of experiencing my grandparents when they were younger because honestly, I don't remember my dad's mom, my grandma, at all before she had her stroke. Not even a little. I like kind of have a very fuzzy memory of being at the Botanic Gardens with her, but I don't remember the sound of her voice before the stroke. I don't really remember like I kind of remember like a memory of her being in the kitchen and like cooking my grandpa dinner one time, but I can't really pull those memories easily. And she's been dead for like 6 years now anyway. And she'd had a stroke. She had a stroke in 2007. So I mean, I was like, 11 years old.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And when I was growing up, by the time, again, that I was like 11, my grandpa, my mom's dad, also had a stroke. And he could still walk and talk and stuff, but he had Parkinson's as well, so it was hard for him to walk by himself. I mean, he could still do it, but it was a lot tougher. And he couldn't do things the way he used to. He couldn't paint like he used to, and he couldn't carve things. And I mean, Alexander tells me stories all the time of how for hours him and Papa would just throw football back and forth in the backyard. And I mean, I wasn't really interested in it back then anyway, but I don't
You missed
really.
out on
Yeah, I feel like I missed out in certain ways on a lot of the things that you could do with grandparents who still had some like youth in them,
Yeah, that's like of my brothers. Like my mom's dad, he died when I was like, I don't know, like 6 or 7, I think, like that. But I still have like some memories with him. And like none of my other brothers probably have any like working memory of my grandpa.
Yeah. It's weird, man.
Matt doesn't have any.
No, I mean, Matt definitely wasn't. Steven wasn't
Wasn't
even
even
born
born.
when he died. So, I mean, Justin, it was just me and Justin.
Wow. Yeah, life is so strange, man.
Maybe Steven was born. Maybe he was just born.
Like a
Or he was
baby.
about to be born. I don't know, because he's a late baby, so.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, the whole, oh, hey, we're like in our early to mid-20s now, and we're like kind of coming into our own as adults, like, it's fucking weird, man. Like, I still remember, I still feel like not that different as being like 11 years
Yeah.
old and sitting on the floor in my basement in front of the TV playing N64, like,
We're adults.
yeah.
I still react the same when I see titties.
What?
I still react the same to titties. Like, oh my god!
I don't.
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow.
don't anymore. It's sad.
I'm not trying to.
Maybe,
I'm not trying
maybe you
to.
ain't got the right titties.
Yeah, you're just
Oh,
not
show me
seeing the
some
right
titties.
titties.
I'm
Yes,
not
I'll have
trying to
some titties,
make
sir.
you sad, Nicholas, but
Huh?
I think one of the main reasons why I'm really sad that you guys are selling your house is because like your house is probably maybe one of the only houses I've been to where it actually like feels like a home,
Oh.
especially like your basement. So I don't know. I'm just like really sad about
Hey man,
it.
but don't think of it like that, man. It's not the end, of that, because I'm very confident that this next abode, will have a lot of love in it, and the four of us are gonna have a lot of things that we want to make it very homey, you know. And I want you guys to come out and visit us, dude. I think it'll be awesome.
New chapters, new chapters.
Yeah,
That
man.
being said,
It's
though,
like-
like,
It's a new chapter.
I can't think of like a single friend, and maybe it's just because I have a shit memory, but I can't think of anybody that is like still in the same house that like they were in when they were like a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that old, like that family home is just not like a normal kind of, like you just have like, you know, this is this house and like stuff.
But
like
I wonder if that's like a recent thing, because for instance, my dad.
that. I
my
think it
dad's-
definitely is recent.
Yeah, like my dad's dad still lives in the house that my dad grew up in.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's
So,
really
like,
cool.
When my dad when we go to visit my grandpa, my dad's going to his childhood home, like. And it's kind of cool because we'll go on like walks and he'll be like, oh, you know, blank people used to live there, and oh, they tore down that house. That was a great house, you know, and like that kind of stuff. It's interesting.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I know in my family, 100% of the people do not live in like their original home that they were like born in. You know?
My mom. Okay, so my mom grew up in Des Plaines, and then after her mom passed away when she was like 8, they moved to Streamwood. And I guess they used to live, okay, I'm not sure if you've ever been to downtown Des Plaines, like where the train station's at. But when my mom was little in the
We didn't say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke and I just shook our heads. Yeah.
but my mom lived in downtown Des Plaines, and the whole neighborhood there used to be like a bunch of Victorian houses, and now if you go there, it's literally just a bunch of like condos. It looks like just like a little mini city almost with like the train station. But it's like really sad because sometimes if we're like close to Des Plaines, my mom will drive through downtown Des Plaines and she'd be like, oh, I remember this lady, like this old lady used to live at that house, and she used to have like these beautiful rose bushes, and she used to let us like cut flowers for our, like she used to let kids in the neighborhood like cut flowers for their mom. And then I'm like looking at it, and it's literally just like a giant condo building. And then like we'll drive down the street a little further. She's like, oh, one of my friends used to live right here. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's just a parking lot for the condo building.
Well, you know, I feel like some of that though, like as like a human, you know, because we're mortal and our frame of reference is only like 70 years on average. I feel like as a species, we're aware of the fact that change happens all the time, and that it's the only thing that really is constant is change. But because of a culture, like we're in a material culture, so we're tricked into believing that things are supposed to stay stationary. So you keep grasping at straws, kind of, in terms of like every 10 years is like a massive shock or something like that, because you're not appreciating like the day-to-day changes that are always happening. Like, people expect that their hometown's going to be the same forever, but, like, nothing is the same forever. I mean, you know, the people who, like, wrote, you know, like for instance, like, Mozart, you know, is remembered now, but that's only, like, 300 years ago, 200, 300 years ago? Like, in 1,000 years, nobody's going to remember Mozart or the Beatles or any of that shit, even though we think it's, like, immortal, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I bet people remember classical, but I doubt they'll remember like the Beatles and everything.
But I mean, even
I
then,
don't know. They'll probably remember the Beatles. I mean, if you think like Paul McCartney is like the wealthiest musician in the history of musicians.
Okay, maybe Led Zeppelin, but definitely not the Beatles.
how about the Grateful Dead?
I bet Grateful Dead will still have a cult following.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever die. As long as there's humans who are,
Like
are
there'll be
willing to like
Jerry's head in a
ingest
jar,
acid,
like
I
in
think
Futurama.
it'll happen, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would be weird when like all of like the like members of the Grateful Dead like are gone.
Yeah. Dude, Phil Lesh is 78 years old, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's old.
Yeah,
That's old.
What?
you should try to get Grandma Nikki and Phil Lesh to go out,
I'm pretty sure Phil Lesh has got a bitch.
get divorced.
Phil Lesh has a wife,
Marry
dude.
Grandma Nikki.
Yeah.
And 2 sons.
Grandma Nikki's a sweet looking lady.
She's a handful.
She's a little spitfire.
Love her to death, but she's a handful.
Maybe that's what Phil needs. He's
Yeah,
too
Phil
he's
needs
too
Grandma
he's too
Sticky.
nice.
Yeah, he's
No,
too
she's
nice.
gonna set that ticker ablaze.
She needs to whip Phil in the bedroom.
Or just get her with Bobby, man. Just fucking. You know.
Monet.
Ew, that was disgusting, Eric.
Sorry.
He
That
can.
was so good.
He can tell her the oh my god, the yellow dog story.
Little yeller dog.
Short.
I gotta bring this up, but before the end, I need to ask some questions.
Ask him now, man.
Ask
Or
away.
right before the end.
For my project for class.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can ask him now.
Okay.
Okay.
So, this question is going out to the audience. I guess you guys can answer it too. But so, in a few weeks, I need to do another podcast for my class, and we are going to be talking about climate change.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
And so
Ooh.
for the thing, we need to analyze how well we did. So we need to see how well we either changed people's opinions or gave them information, either changed their opinion or gave them more useful information on how to deal with climate change. So, okay, my questions are, first, obviously, what do you believe about climate change? What do you think you know? Or what do you know? What do you think you know and what do you know? How is climate change affecting us now? How do you believe it is affecting us right now? Like the Earth in general, us here, maybe people in other places if we care about them, if you care about them, you know?
Oh my god.
What are some of the causes of
I'm
climate?
sorry.
No, I'm
Eric
just kidding.
literally
Admit
just
that
made
part.
The nastiest fucking fart in the world.
What?
Eric just farted and it smelled so bad.
It's pretty bad.
Did you eat Taco Bell?
No, I had some China Wok.
Oh, Chinese food sounds good.
I'm sorry, Luke. I'm sorry.
Okay, what are some of the causes of climate change? And what can you personally do about climate change? And I'll probably have some more questions when the video goes up.
Okay.
That will
Well-
right in the bottom.
Here's one forestry related thing that we've been noticing over here in central Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The ranges that we're able to plant, like Colorado spruce and balsam fir and things like that, are becoming way they're moving more north because just the regions that we're having such like shorter, milder winters that we just don't have like the ideal climate in all places for like these certain tree species to thrive. So we see a lot of dieback. We're seeing more like needle cast and stuff like that. Like they're not as able to get the energy that they need to fight off these certain diseases and shit like that. So at least that's one thing that we personally have been like noticing over
That's
here.
interesting.
Which is not like, that's not like a big thing. Like, a lot of people are expecting like the fucking lakes to dry up and tornadoes of fire and shit like that. Like, we're just noticing that the region of tree species, like in their natural, like kind of range, they're moving more north towards like obviously like the colder
That must be where Isengard
shit
is.
like that.
The trees are heading north.
Yep, they're moving.
It's something I've noticed in terms of what you're seeing, like actual impacts from climate change for the community university gardens. We've noticed that compared to what the the historical average season length for a growing season for a lot of plants has become extended in Illinois, and the ranges at which you can plant certain food-bearing crops are also changing. Like Illinois is, I believe it's a zone 3 and 4 or 4 and 5.
Like,
Because Illinois is so tall,
Yeah.
it's got quite a few different growing zones, but they're expanding and moving northward, like Eric's saying, because the hotter climates are starting to hit southern Illinois on average than they were, and the summers are longer, so you can actually grow either more plants or you can grow plants that continue to produce. Like, for instance, remember those tomatoes?
Yeah.
Those were producing until October.
It was crazy.
Yeah, like late October.
Yeah.
They're supposed to stop producing in September.
Yeah.
like, so shit like that. So I mean, I think it's definitely happening, but I wonder often, like, I think the doom and gloom aspect of climate change should be acknowledged, but shouldn't be the only dialogue about it or the narrative, because, like, honestly, I think we're so conceited in our thoughts on, like, oh, we can predict all these terrible things that are going to happen from climate change, and yeah, there probably are going to be a lot of shit things that are going to happen, but we can't predict all those things, and they're going to happen in such complex ways because the world is so complex that, like, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know about y'all, but if y'all want to wrap it up in a little bit.
Yeah, this is a long podcast.
An hour 50.
How long was this?
150 so far.
Very hard.
Damn.
I think we good.
We good.
I'm
well,
hungry.
Yeah, well, hey, we're back. Hopefully we won't have another month in between the next one.
We're back. We're whack.
So with Earth Week and stuff, actually, we're probably going to have a week in between, though.
Yeah.
Dude, once Monday hits,
Fuck.
yeah, oh my god, there's so many events happening. It's going to be
This is your time to shine.
a nightmare. It'll be fun, but it'll be a nightmare. Also, I have an Earth Week shirt for you, Luke, and you need to take it before you go.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is your guys' holiday.
It's your Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I'm excited for you guys.
All right, well, Luke just went to the bathroom, so do you want to wait for him?
Yeah, we'll wait for him.
All right, we can wait for him. How about we wait for him?
Yeah, let's wait for him.
Did you know I had a history teacher at Westfield in 7th grade who took part of the first Earth Day at his college?
That's pretty cool.
Yep, the very first Earth Day he was a part of. He helped put it together.
ERF.
Did you guys hear that in, I think it's about 100 years, we've located an asteroid/comet? I don't know what's the proper terminology. That's going to come pretty close to hitting Earth, and we're actually looking into all those different things that we've talked about like launching something to deflect it off of its range. Yeah. And it's actually something that we might need to start thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking believe it. That torrid meteor stream, man. We go through that bitch twice a year.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Pleistocene impact. Randall Carlson. Graham Hancock.
What?
Bam.
Bam. Oh, yeah. So I was going to say, I also got a scholarship. That's the other thing.
Oh, awesome, dude.
For,
scholarship.
There you go. How much?
$2,000.
That's nice, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 stacks.
Yeah.
Can I borrow one? I got to pay my theater back.
And I just got invited to another dinner.
There you go. Yeah, I got that tuition waiver.
Nice.
Yeah. We're doing our shit, bro.
Delahall Gwinnett
Nice
1501.
on the up and up.
Right on that up and up. Well, all right. Yeah, this was a good one. This was a long one.
Yeah.
We got into some shit about siblings. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Some philosophically. Some talking about poop.
Yeah, poop, tits, balls.
Farts are the screams of trapped poo.
That's not true. We learned that. We learned that farts and poos are actually not directly related to one another.
Really?
Yeah, like farts happen when you have to poo, but poos don't cause farts and farts don't cause poos. They're just things that happen together.
Yeah.
I never thought that they caused each other.
Well, didn't you ever, like she said, farts are the screams of trap poos?
Well, I mean, I've had poo
some people
farts,
thought
but
that
I know that not all farts are poo farts.
And some people think that shit pushes the farts out, but they're just two different things.
Oh.
No, it's like moving. I thought there was like little things pushing it.
Yeah, little guys that push the farts out, yeah.
Yeah, little.
Like in your throat, you have those little things. I thought that was just through your whole body.
Is that Rick and Morty? Right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write on theirs.
Well, all right. Billy Madinstein.
Madinstein.
Madinstein. Oh, God. All right,
Coming
well.
your weapons.
We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, we spoke for the
Thanks.
trees.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We spoke right for those trees, man.
We spoke
For them. Fit them.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye, buddies.